Berkeley's Esse est percipi by Felipe Bautista. Berkeley famously insisted that esse est percipi. However, if it is actually the case that esse est percipi, then I must admit that I have no grounds to affirm the reality either of other finite minds or of a universal mind beyond myself, since I cannot possibly perceive either of these because, as noted even Berkeley himself, there was an odor, that is, it was smelt. There was a sound, that is, it was heard, a color or figure, and it was perceived by sight or touch. And what are the persons I perceive and interact with, if not what is smelt, heard, perceived by sight or touch? My point is that Berkeley engages in non sequitur and question begging insofar as he assumes the reality of either other finite minds or of an infinite mind from sensible qualities. As remarked Hume, it is a question of fact, whether the perceptions of the senses be produced by external objects, resembling them. How shall this question be determined? By experience, surely, as all other questions of a like nature. But here experience is and must be entirely silent. The mind has never anything present to it but the perceptions, and cannot possibly reach any experience of their connection with objects, e.g., other finite minds, or even some infinite mind. The supposition of such a connection is, therefore, without any foundation in reasoning. And also in Hume's words, by what argument can it be proved that the perceptions of the mind must be caused by 1. External objects, entirely different from them, though resembling them, if that be possible, and could not arise either from 2. The energy of the mind itself, or from 3. The suggestion of some invisible and unknown spirit, or from 4. Some other cause still more unknown to us. None of these options, 1, 2, 3, or 4, can be definitely established as being the case either a priori or a posteriori. Not a priori because each are logically possible. Not a posteriori because the mind has never anything present to it but the perceptions. Worse, not even on Berkeley's own account can it be sufficiently substantiated a posteriori that other finite minds or an infinite mind are real, to say nothing of the fact that the a priori route is totally closed off, as we've already seen. Because esse est percipi, and I must acknowledge that under no circumstances do I ever perceive, nor can I in principle perceive, other finite minds or any infinite mind, such that Berkeley's assertion of the reality of other finite minds or of an infinite mind, besides non sequitur, involves petitio principii. Granted, Berkeley does specify that esse est percipi aut percipere, yet the reality of other perceiving minds, whether other finite minds or an infinite mind, is precisely what wants proof, which proof, as we've seen, can be sufficiently substantiated neither a priori nor a posteriori. And eo ipso, the assertion of the reality of other finite minds or of an infinite mind, remains a petitio principii, and also non sequitur insofar as based on sensible qualities. Here experience is and must be entirely silent. En passant, as remarked Hume, to begin with the senses, 'tis evident these faculties are incapable of giving rise to the notion of the continued existence of their objects after they no longer appear to the senses, whether houses, mountains, rivers, humankind, etc. For that is a contradiction in terms, and supposes that the senses continue to operate even after they have ceased all manner of operation. The chief question is whether Berkeley actually commits himself to the reality of other minds or of a universal mind beyond myself. If he does, if these are necessary for his broader metaphysics, then he begs the question and engages in non sequitur, as we've seen. If he does not, if he regards the reality of these only hypothetically, that is, and if these are not necessary for his broader metaphysical enterprise, then any assertion of the reality of either other minds or of an infinite mind beyond myself remains without any foundation in reasoning, petitio principii and non sequitur all the same.